Do you have some concerns about your credit? Is your credit report stressing you out? Well, in this episode, I'm going to talk about 3 ways to determine if you're worried about the wrong shit regarding your credit.
This episode is brought to you by dualpreneur.com. Are you a full-time employee and an entrepreneur? That means you're a dualpreneur. You understand and value the concept of having multiple streams of income. Dualpreneur.com provides resources, connections, and services to dualpreneurs so that they can do it all, have it all, be it all. For more information, go to dualpreneur.com. That's dualpreneur.com.
Hey there, this is Tarra Jackson, aka Madam Money, and this is the 3rd episode of Financial Fornicating with Madam Money. I'm so glad you're joining me today. This episode is a little venting. So this is called 3 Signs You're Worried About the Wrong Shit Regarding Your Credit. And the reason why I pegged it as this or named it this is because I just got off the phone with 3 clients, and the mantra for each of the call was, you're worried about the wrong shit. And so I know we have some issues regarding credit, but there's some people or some of us who have colorful credit, and we're just worried about the wrong shit. We're just stressing out about the wrong things when it comes to our credit, when we need to be focusing on the correct things. So this episode is rated M for mature audiences and mature money makers. So make sure, your parental guidance, or if you're holier than thou, you might want to close your ear, because I promise I'm going to use some profanity throughout this podcast. So again, I felt it necessary to share this information because I'm getting a lot of people that are very concerned about the wrong things concerning their credit and repairing their credit. And hopefully this will help you or someone you know. So feel free to share with someone that you like, that you care about. Even if you don't like them, share it anyway. Help somebody out, okay? So here are 3 signs that you're worried about the wrong shit regarding your credit. The first one was a gentleman that I talked to, and he was hypersensitive about someone looking at his credit. He had an inquiry on his credit report, and oh my God, it was as if the world was coming down. Oh my God, I can't believe they pulled my credit, and they pulled it twice, and it knocked my credit score by 50 points. So I was like, dude, that doesn't even sound right. Based on the anatomy of a credit score, it's not even, likely that one inquiry or a double inquiry on the same day knocked your points down 50 points. And so there was something else that had to happen to your credit for the credit score to be knocked down so significantly. So I thought I had to share the anatomy of a credit score. So I'm going to share with you the anatomy of a credit score. There's 5 categories for the credit score. The first category is paying your bills on time, your payment history. That's 35% of the score. So if you're paying your bills on time every month, that helps 35% of the score. If you're not and you become delinquent, that hurts 35% of your score. So delinquent means 30 days past due, 60 days past due, 90 days, 120 days, charge off. Any type of past due, non-payment, delinquency hurts 35% of your score. The second category is called utilization, and it's based on your balances next to your credit limits. So the higher your balances are, it hurts 30% of your score. The lower the balances are, it helps 30% of your score. Some people argue that you need to keep your balances at 30%. Some argue 20%. Some argue 50%, whatever. The more balance you have on it to the limit, the more it hurts your credit score. So for example, if you have a credit limit on a credit card, home equity line of credit, or an unsecured line of credit, overdraft line of credit, whatever that is, if you have a balance of a credit limit of $1,000 and your balance is $1,000, that's going to hurt 30% of your credit score, right? And God forbid you're late on it. That's going to hurt another 35% of your score. So now you've hurt 65% of your score by being late and being up to the limit or over the limit. So if your line of credit is 1,000 and your balance is 100 and you're paying on time, The low balance is going to help you 30%, and the fact you're paying on time is going to help you 35%. So that's 65% of your credit score right there, right? Just with those two categories. The third category is based on the age of your credit. How long have you had experience with using credit? So the older you are, the more experience or mature, like a fine wine, that you have with credit, it helps 15% of your score. 10% of your score, which is the fourth category, is based on diversity of credit on your credit report. So what is your credit mix? What do you have experience in? Do you have experience in, mortgages, auto loans, personal loans, credit cards? The more diverse credit you have on your credit bureau or your credit reports, that helps 15%, 10% of your score. So if you've had a long experience with credit, you're mature in age and you've had that, and you have a good mix, diversity of credit on your credit score, that helps 15% with the age, 10% with the diversity of the credit. Okay. So we're talking about 25% right there. The last 10% is based on new accounts and inquiries. So whoever you allow to look at your credit cookies, tap into your credit and take a look at your credit through a credit inquiry, or any new accounts that you establish within a certain period of time. Inquiries are between 18 to 24 months, how many you have. That affects 10% of your score. So the least amount of accounts you open or the least amount of inquiries could help 10% of your score. That just means you're not shopping for credit for no reason. Mortgages are different. Auto loans are different. Sometimes it happens. Now, here's the thing, side note. If you go out and shop for an auto loan and they blast your credit to several financial institutions, that's called indirect lending. If the inquiries all happen within the same day, it usually counts as a single inquiry. So it's not going to count as 50 or 25 separate inquiries. If it happens within one day, it usually affects as one inquiry. Now, you want to consult with each credit reporting agency because they're all different. They're all privately owned institutions and they do not communicate with each other. So they all have their own policies and procedures and they all have their own scoring models. That's why the credit scores are different. But I digress. Getting back to the 10%, inquiries, new credit is only 10%. Now, after I explained this to him, he was so concerned about that one inquiry that happened twice, and he felt that it destroyed his credit. And I said, dude, you're worried about the wrong shit. What you need to do is pull your credit report from annualcreditreport.com, and you need to see from all three of the credit reporting agencies what happened within a certain period of time or within this recent period of time. So it sounds like there may have been a collection agency that newly reported. There may be something that's maybe incorrectly reported. It could be something that's reporting you as delinquent when you may have paid it, but the delinquency was reported before you paid it. Whatever it is, I doubt very seriously it was that one inquiry that turned into two that knocked your score down that much. Yes, when he took a look at it, it was a medical collection agency that just reported on his credit report that knocked him down 50 points. Now, here's the thing about delinquency. It doesn't matter the amount of the delinquency, whether it's $5, $50, $500, $5,000, $5 million. It doesn't matter the amount. What matters is the fact that it's a delinquency, 30 days, 90 days, or 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, 180 days, charge off. That is what has the impact on the credit score. So a $5 ticket, a $50 ticket is just as impact as a $5,000 charge off credit card. Okay. It's hurting 35% of your score. So some people say, well, it was only, $100 versus something else. Well, it doesn't matter the amount. What matters is the fact that it's a delinquent account. So stop worrying about the wrong shit. Fix what's hurting the credit score the most within those two categories of payment history and your balances, with keeping them lower on next to them credit limits. Okay, number two, I was talking to this young lady, and she was concerned about her debt to income ratio. She's trying to get a home, and some of the things that the loan officer was explaining to her, among other things, was, One, you got to do something with your credit score or your credit. We got to get that credit score up. Two, your loan to income ratio is really high. And so we really need to do something about your debt to income ratio, because your student loans are reporting, even though in deferment, and with the new laws, we have to take a percentage of it. So she was so bent on the fact that her credit score, or her debt to income ratio was so high. And I said, honey, you're worried about the wrong shit. The loan officer told you that your credit score doesn't qualify. So even if your debt to income ratio was lower, it still doesn't qualify because of your credit score. We need to focus on what's hurting your credit score so we can get that up so that you do qualify. And then that will probably help your debt to income ratio, or we'll be able to focus on that. So even if you get your debt to income ratio down, it doesn't change the fact that you still don't qualify because of your credit. So I had to help her to stop focusing on the wrong shit and start focusing on what is reporting on the credit report, so we can increase the credit score, and then we can figure out what you're going to do with the debt income ratio. Is it that you need to increase your income? Is it because your student loans are reporting? What is it? Then we can focus on that. Once she got her panties stop in a little bundle, then she realized, oh, I guess I do need to start focusing on my credit so that I can get that up to even qualify for a mortgage. The third conversation I had today was with a young lady who was explaining to me how much money she paid to a credit repair organization, and the fact that they, now she is excited that she has this security, identity theft security. So she froze her credit. So she paid for this identity theft security feature from the credit repair company, and it also froze her credit. And when she worked with the guy, she said, well, I paid all this money, but it really didn't do anything for my credit. And I asked her, so what is your credit score? She was like, it's still, it went up. It was a 4 something. Now it's about a 590 something. So it did go up. And I said, honey, you're worried about the wrong shit. If I'm a hacker, I'm not trying to hack people with bad credit. I'm trying to hack people with good credit so I can get stuff. Why would I hack somebody that has bad credit that can't get it? If you can't get something with your credit, why would I try to steal your identity to try to get credit, and I'm not going to get credit? I'm just saying, that logic just didn't work for me. And so I told her, you're worried about the wrong shit. Let's work on trying to increase your credit score and improve your credit, and utilize the money that you would have paid the credit repair person to negotiate some of the debt that's on your credit report. For what you paid him, you could have knocked out several of them debts and probably negotiated them to be off your credit report. And then once we get your credit score up where it looks appealing, now let's think about protecting it. Why are you protecting it for people that probably don't even want it? You're worried about the wrong shit. So after we talked about it and we developed a plan for her to start disputing information, negotiating, validating debt on some things so we can get that credit score up. Once we get the credit score up, now let's talk about how we're going to protect this identity, because people want to steal nice stuff. They don't want to steal bad stuff. So if your credit is bad, they probably don't want to steal it. Save your money. But there's a lot of people with bad credit that's paying for these identity theft services, but nobody probably wants to steal their credit. Now, maybe there are somebody out there. I could be wrong. I don't know. Disclosure. I don't know. But if I'm going to try to steal somebody's identity, I probably want to steal somebody's identity where I can probably get something. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. You can share your comments on that. So, but at least she's focusing on repairing her own credit, saving her money, or applying the money she would have spent for a person to try to fix it. And we're doing it together. So those are the three areas that I found with the conversation with my clients, that they were kind of worried about the wrong shit as it deals with their credit. Once they start worrying about the right stuff, then the secondary things could be managed correctly. So if you're worried about the wrong stuff regarding your credit, make sure you start worrying about the things that's going to impact your credit the best way first. Then let's think about the other secondary things. I hope this has been very helpful for you. If it has, please share this podcast with everyone that you know. Also, for more tips like this, go to madammoney.com. That's MADAMMONEY.com. Thank you again for listening to Financial Fornicating with Madam Money.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.